Welcome, thank you. So just before we start, I was yakking about my new cat, but make sure you have whatever you need to be comfortable. I know that's in the write-up. A couple of towels or blankets. So when you're lying down, you can have cushioning or covering. If you have, I'm not sure we'll get to it today, but I'm going to try. If you have a yoga strap, have that handy. And just so you know, a man's tie will work very well as a strap substitute. And you might want to have, if you have 2 yoga blocks or 2 little boxes or 2 same size books, this may come in handy. And all of these things, if you don't have them, it doesn't mean you can't do a pose. It's just that sometimes with adaptations, I offer things you can do with props. You know, even the strap, what you do with the strap, you don't necessarily have to have the strap to do that. So to get started, come to lying down. If you'd like to have some support under your head, a blanket or pillow, get that. And anything you want to have around you, a pet. I know some of you have pets. Anything to be snuggly. So we're just going to start baseline lying down so we can check in and visit with ourselves. It's probably going to be pretty mellow night tonight. So let's get started. I won't join you on every pose because if I lie down, you can't probably see me anyway if you're lying down and I want my voice to project. So for now, just find a comfy place on your mat. And again, padding under your head if you need it. If you're comfortable splaying your limbs out, arms straight, legs straight out, that's fine. But if you do that and right away you notice your back is bothering you, you'll want to bend your knees and place your feet on the mat. That will give more support for your low back curve if the low back doesn't feel so comfy when the legs are out straight. So you choose that. And if you're chilly, my house is very chilly today, so yours might be too. If you're chilly, you can place a light covering over yourself as we start. And then once you're settled, bring your awareness to your body, the hard parts and the soft parts. Let your head relax down on your mat or on a cushion. Let your skull be heavy. Relax your shoulders. Invite your hardworking arms and hands to be still. They may not want to. You might find that without your voluntary control, the hands are holding each other. And if you feel good about that, that's okay. But if you can, let them be separate and apart. Relax everywhere in your body that is willing to relax. And if there are some places that are tight, unwilling to relax, maybe hurting a little bit, notice that as well. And at any time if something bothers you, you might just want to change your position a little bit. Sometimes that will help. And as we go through the practice and get into some of the asana, please remember that we don't gain benefits through yoga practice by getting to pain. We want to stop whatever we're doing well before we get to pain in that area. So I'll give you a little quiet here to settle in and observe and to notice. And after you've observed your body for a little bit, begin to observe your breath. Even though we're getting more into snowflake season than leaf season, what you might want to do is imagine your essence, yourself, as a leaf. They are still around, a leaf on the ground, and then let that leaf respond to your breath. So your breath might be very quiet and the leaf might be still. You might find that sometimes you sip in a little bit more air and that stirs the leaf a little bit. So just notice, we're not trying to move the leaf or send it to the neighbor's yard. We're just using this image to see if it helps us notice anything about our breath. Notice if your breath feels like it has a clear pathway through the nose and through the throat. Notice any movement in the body connected with the breath. So if your leaf had dropped down onto your upper chest, as you inhale and your chest lifts, you might find that leaf just floats up a little bit toward the sky. And as you exhale, the leaf might settle back down to the ground. Take a few moments to explore your breath without judgment, noticing the inhale and the exhale, and in between inhale and exhale and inhale, there is a small or maybe imperceptible pause. Notice that as well. We're going to start, as always, with some simple movements on the back. You don't need anything special at the moment. I'm going to come to lying down for reference, but hopefully my instructions will be clear enough that you don't have to pop up to see what I am doing. We're going to do a pose that you've probably done maybe more times than you want in yoga classes, Apanasana. And Apanasana, because we bring our legs to our chest, is a forward bend. It can help stretch the back, but its name means the Sanskrit name, Apanasana, means wind removing pose, which sounds fun, doesn't it? And it's just that it helps to remove or help if you have a gaseous state. So especially after we've had a big meal or just had Thanksgiving and there's Hanukkah, there's a lot of holidays going on. Maybe you feel a little bloated. So let's see what this does for us. So have your feet lightly down on the mat and then pick up your right leg, draw it toward you, but don't try and squeeze it. If you can, just let the leg surrender to gravity. Lower leg slack, heel slack to the butt, thigh heavy. And if you want to, just for a sense of guidance, place a hand or both hands on your knee. You can do that. Or you can, actually, that's a good idea to use that, because then you could use your arm, the length of your arm, as a measuring tool. So now that the right leg is in, make sure both hips, the right and left pelvic halves, feel even on the mat. And very easily, as you inhale, take your right leg a little bit away from you. So if you want to, if you're using your arm, you could take it as far away as it will be when your elbow is straight, no further than that. And as you exhale, gently draw the thigh toward you with using minimal arm strength. So we want to try and let the leg create this movement. Inhale the thigh away, exhale, let the thigh surrender to gravity. Do a few more like this and a few more little things. If having your leg fully, your lower leg fully bent, if you need to have your knee in a right angle because you have a knee issue, you could certainly do that. So there's an expression used sometimes in yoga called the squeeze and the soak. So when you think of a sponge, we squeeze it out and then we soak it full of fresh fluid. And that's a little bit of what we're doing here. So the next time your right thigh comes toward your chest, again, don't smush it in, but let the weight of the thigh surrender to gravity. And if you want to hug the leg in a little bit, that's fine. We want to create a little compression here in our ascending colon, but we don't want to cause any pain or discomfort. And we also don't want to be so tight with the belly and the leg that we can't breathe. So take a few breaths with this light compression, make sure it's tolerable. This is the squeezing part. And then for the soaking part, take that leg away. And then if it feels okay, extend the leg away from you, long, straight, and fairly low. And then slide the leg up to the ceiling. We're all going to be here for a moment, but if a moment is too much, here is a place where you may want to use a strap or a tie around the sole of the foot to hold it up there, or again, you can hold on to the leg. And one of the things we're doing here is we're unfolding the leg, because when we're bending the knee a lot, we're doing a little squeeze back there. So now we want to get space in the back of the knee. And then also let's do a little leg rotation while we're here. So point your toes to whatever is behind you, a wall or a piece of furniture. That's kind of a neutral leg. And then spin the entire leg a little bit externally toward the right. So now your toes are looking past your right shoulder. Your leg does not have to be straight, by the way, and it does not have to be right above your hip. Turn the leg back to neutral and then internally rotate that leg. So now the leg is looking toward, if you're using your right leg, it's looking toward your left shoulder. Come back to neutral, knee is looking toward your nose. Come back to turning the leg to the right, ankle gently flexed, looking past your right shoulder, back to neutral, and spin the leg toward the left shoulder. Good. Then leg back to neutral, bend the knee, place the foot on the floor, and just notice if you feel any difference between your right and left side. Now, instead of going to the left side, which is what we usually do, since we're doing this kind of with a digestive approach, we're going to go to the belly, to the transverse colon. So bring the right leg in again and bring the left leg in. And as before, as you inhale, take the legs a little bit away from you. You could use the length of your arms and make that the distance. And as you exhale, comfortably draw the legs toward you. Heels slack to the backs of your legs unless you need to have a bigger angle to protect your knees if you have knee pain. And again, back to the squeeze and the soak. I find it more difficult for my body type when I'm using both legs to get a good squeeze. They just kind of bounce off my belly. So the next time your thighs come in, you may want to use your arms to just gently hug them in a little bit more. You might want to place your hands behind the backs of your thighs. This way you're not compressing the knee joint, which isn't really fun. And again, this is the squeeze part. So if you have a gas situation going on, you might notice that it responds to this. Take one more breath here if you can. Again, you don't want to squeeze so much that you can't breathe. And then gently peel your legs away. Now place your right leg down, because we did that leg already, but keep the left leg in. So again, just the left leg now. Inhale, thigh moves away, creating space between your thigh and your belly and hip. And as you exhale, you're compressing that tissue on the side of your descending colon. So we're following the pathway of the intestines with the way we're doing this. And just breathe your own breath. So someone might do 4, someone might do 3. The rhythm is to inhale away and exhale in. You don't need to use the arm. You could just use the leg if that works for you. And the next time the left thigh comes in toward your chest, you might want to use your hand to secure it in a little bit to find gentle compression. So we're compressing the left, but what gets the most compression here generally is the lower left quadrant. So it's not like we don't want to compress the rib cage. We don't want to have heaviness on the rib. We want to compress in the abdomen and the pelvic belly area. So this again is our squeeze. And now for the soak, release that. Extend the leg out low and long. Keep it as straight as you can without force, and then bring the leg up. If you need to bend it, that's fine. Flex the ankle. So we also want to open up the backs of the legs after having them bent for a fair amount of time. Point the toes behind you, neutral leg, and then externally rotate the leg. So the whole leg from the thigh crease to the heel is going to spin out. Left leg spins out to the left. Sole of the foot is still in the same position. We're not swinging the leg to the right or to the left. Bring the leg back to neutral and then turn the leg in. So now your left toes might be looking toward your right shoulder. Most of us have either a lot more internal rotation than external rotation. And this kind of rotation, you might not have a lot. So come back to center, and that's normal. Externally rotate the leg so your left toes are looking toward your left shoulder or maybe a little bit past that. And now your left toes are looking to the wall behind you, neutral leg. And now we're going to see, I don't have a lot of inner rotation on this leg. And you might notice that one leg is different from the other as well. And then back to neutral you go. Bend the left knee in again. Pick up the right foot. Bring the right foot in again. And let's just do one quick round of both legs. Inhale the thighs away. Quick, not rushed. We're just not going to do that many repetitions. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale the thighs away. Exhale, bring it in. Keep your hips very stable and heavy. One more time. Inhale the thighs away. And exhale, gentle compression of the thighs, compressing the front of the hip joints. And if you're feeling that's too much compression, you want to back off a little bit and also compressing, the belly. And then we're slowly going to release that. Let's take the right leg down first and the left leg down first. Take the feet wide and rest your knees together and just notice how you feel here. And then just for a full opening for a moment, if it feels okay, take your legs out straight on the mat. Not floppy straight like Shavasana, but maybe flex the ankles a little bit so you feel like you have control. You're not like just a Raggedy Ann here on the mat. You have a little control, but now you're also opening in the belly. The belly is not getting that compression anymore. So hopefully it's happening either way. And then when you're ready, we're going to do one more movement here in our lying on the mat. We'll do side opening. So take the knees wide, feet wide, knees in line with your ankles. Excuse me, I have a prop in the way here. So always feel that you're going to move props away. Don't keep them there if they're in the way. So now take your right knee and tip it over to your left, rolling onto the big toe side of the foot. But don't let the left leg flop out. That would be a twist, which is fine. It's just not what we're doing right now. If you feel that your right leg wants to tip over more, just toe heel the left toe a little bit out of the way. Now sweep your right arm away from your side body, maybe out from the shoulder. And again, watch out for mystery props here, like a water bottle, or you may stretch that right arm overhead. So we want to find length here on our right side. Turn your head over to the left, so we're also getting in the right side of the neck. And let your right leg be soft here. We're not trying to drag it down or force it down. Notice the length on your right side. And particularly, you might feel it in the thigh, you might feel it in the hip, but notice the spaciousness in the right side in the rib cage. And the next time you inhale, without force, take a slightly bigger breath, fanning open your right and left sides. And as you exhale, release. And then just take 2 more easeful breaths here in this side lengthening pose. Keep it a little soft. Once you get into position, you don't want to be holding it rigidly and stretching your arm back. Just settle there for 1 more breath. And then bring the knee up, bring the nose back to center, bring the right arm out down by your side again. Second side, keep the right knee looking toward the ceiling and internally rotate the left leg. So you're tipping your left knee over to the right leg. You're rolling over to the big toe side of the left foot. And then stretch the left arm away from your body. So you want to open up the side of our body. And if it feels comfortable, you can stretch your left arm to the wall behind you, but have it supported on something, on the floor or a blanket. So don't just keep working on the stretch. We want this to be a little passive. And then turn your head toward the right. So again, we're inviting opening in the left side. And because, again, when we're eating a lot in the holidays and we're stressed, sometimes our breath gets a little restricted. So bring your awareness to the left side of you, the left lung, the left side of your ribs. And without force, take a slightly longer inhale. Sip in a little more breath through your nose. Imagine expanding that left side, receiving that breath. Exhale. And then take 2 more breaths here, 2 more breaths, focusing your awareness and your intention of the breath on the left side, really opening up the left side of your chest, your lungs, maybe your armpits, maybe down even into the waistline. And then dial your way out of this pose. Bring your head back to center, slide your left arm down, pick the left knee up, toe heel your feet together. And then ease over to either side. Pause there so you don't pop up like a jack on the box or in the box. Maybe you have a jack on the box too. When you come to lying on your side, take your top hand, push it down, and use that to help you sit up. Now, come to a comfortable seated position. It does not have to be cross-legged. Feel free to add a blanket or 2 or padding underneath you if that feels good. Feel free to come to a comfortable chair if you're not comfortable sitting up on the floor. And then once you arrive at your comfortable seat, take your arms a little bit away from you, kind of like in a capital letter A, with the fingertips touching the mat. So the length of your arms might determine a little bit where, how far your arms are away from you. Lightly press your fingertips down, lift the chest, but relax the shoulders. Good. We're going to take a little twist here. We're going to come to your right. So take your left arm up by your ear, scoot your right arm behind you a little bit. Inhale, lengthen your spine, sides, front, and back. And as you exhale, take a small twist to your right, bringing your left arm down onto your right thigh. Use the arm behind you to just kind of be almost like a second spine back there to keep you nice and tall. Gentle turn of the head, relax the legs, don't force the twist. Here, bring your awareness into your back body. And without changing the breath, just be more aware of your breath. And as you inhale, breathe into the width, the widest part of your upper back. Exhale there and take 2 more breaths. You can direct your awareness of that breath toward the upper back for those next 2 breaths. Or if there's another area of interest, you can send the awareness of your breath there instead. When you're ready to release the twist, you can always unrevolve or de-revolve your spine and keep your arms low. But if you feel you have a lot of control in your core, take your arms up just for a little more work and come back to center. Reach your fingertips down a little bit. And here, if you were sitting cross-legged, you may just want to put the other leg in front. So you keep moving. So we sit a lot during the day. We don't want to keep compressing our bottom and the backs of our thighs in the same way. So twist on the second side. Take your left arm slightly behind you. Take your right arm up by your ear. If you're more comfortable planting that arm on your left leg to start, feel free to do that. As you inhale, imagine your rib cage lifting up to the sky away from your hips. As you exhale, take that elongated spine and twist it to the second side to your left. The back arm supports you. The front arm kind of supports the twist, but we don't want to use that arm to pull or drag into the twist. Let your neck follow the direction of the twist nice and easefully. Make sure both sitting bones are down like anchors and that you're not leaning to the side you're twisting to. You can bring your awareness to your back again. Twists tend to be big openers of the back, but maybe you feel open and zesty in the chest, and maybe you'd like to focus your breath there for 2 breaths here. Twist on the second side. Gentle but spacious inhale. Easeful exhale in the twist. And then 1 more breath here. When you're ready to release, arms down or arms up. And if you were sitting cross-legged the whole time, take your legs and slowly straighten them out in front of you and just roll them out and in a little bit. Again, whenever we have our limbs, tucked under us or we're compressing something, we always want to have time to open it up. We're going to come to a series of cat-cow variations with maybe a few other, with a balance challenge tossed in there. If your knees are tender, take a blanket under your knees. That's one piece of proppage you can use. Also have 2 blocks or 2 small books, something handy. And that's only if you do a version of cat-cow, Chakravakasana, which I often do for a number of reasons. One of them is it avoids rounding the back. If you're doing that version, the blocks can come in handy. So first, just make sure your knees are comfortable. You don't have to add the props under your back just yet, and come to your tabletop position. Lengthen the back of your neck. So the crown of the head is reaching forward. There's a habit that most of us have, especially if we wear glasses, to have the head a little tipped up here, and we're condensing the back of the neck. Teachers really get that because we're looking at you. The pictures aren't real big, so I can't see you a lot, but I tend to look at the screen to see if I can see anything that might be useful to point out. And think about where your belly is in space, and no judgment on anyone's belly, including my own, but think of the contents of your belly gently lifting up. Inhale here. And as you exhale, imagine that your torso was wrapped in cellophane and the cellophane was gently hugging the front of you toward the back of you toward the front, right to the left, and left to the right. And I'll remind you of that. That will help keep us stable later when we do the balance. As you inhale, press the tops of your feet down, take a little back bend. Now, if you like to do regular traditional cat-cow, as you exhale, take a deep rounding of the spine, bringing the forehead to the pubic bone. That does feel nice. If you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, you want to do what I'm going to do next. Inhale is the same into the back bend, but and you exhale, instead of rounding the spine, lengthen the spine from armpit to hip by dragging the hips a fraction back to your heels. I'll show you both again, even though I'm sure you'll know it. Inhale into the cow. Exhale, if it's appropriate for you, exhale into your cat. Inhale into your cow. To avoid rounding the spine, shift your hips back to your heels. And if you like, you can come up on your fingertips. And also, if you decide you like this version, elevating the hands on blocks or same size books. Or one time I used my slippers for this, so that added some nice little softness. And we'll do a few more together, you choosing which way you want to go on the exhale. Inhale into the back bend. Exhale, either traditional cat or Chakravakasana, which you're sliding toward child's pose. You're not rounding the spine, but you're lengthening the spine in a different way from armpit to hip. Inhaling and exhaling. Now come back to table. If you're using props underneath your hands, remove them. Inhale here, and as you exhale, tuck your toes and lift up and back to downward facing dog. Let your head drip down to the floor. If inversions or down dog for any reason is not appropriate for you, you can keep doing cat-cow, or you can hang out in child's pose. And just see if you can let your dog be as easeful as it can. So if it starts feeling like, oh my God, I'm working so hard to stay up here, I'm working too hard to keep my glasses on, come down sooner rather than later. When you're ready, lightly place your knees down. And now everyone is going to come to a child's pose variation. Take your knees wide, big toes touch, slide your hips back to your heels. And if you have blocks or a blanket handy, you may want to put it underneath your forehead and just pause here. So if you also are avoiding rounding of the spine, you definitely want to have your head lifted on something. So we don't want to have, again, that big arched back here. If we have osteoporosis, definitely don't want to have it. And even for osteopenia, we don't want to have it. So we talked a lot about breath. So since we're in a forward bend and our back is nice and open and broad, so stay in your version of child's pose, but bring your awareness to your upper back. And the next time you inhale, feel your upper back and how it expands. And maybe if there was that leaf, your leafy awareness, maybe if it was on your upper back in this rounded pose, not rounded pose, excuse me, forward bending pose, you might find that that leaf, if it's on your upper back, just floats up a little bit with the buoyancy of your breath. And then when you're ready, take the prop away from your head, come back up to table. You can continue with cat-cowing, or if you'd like to do another downward facing dog, first tuck the toes under and pause there and kind of drag your toes as if you're almost like a cat. Everything's about cats with me. Almost like drag your toes forward and back a little bit so you could really, really stretch out the sole of the foot. That feels nice for that. So, and then get your good tuck, including the pinky toes, if you can get them. Inhale, take your little back bend. Exhale, find that cellophane wrapping, gently hugging you in from side to side and front to back. Lift up into downward facing dog. Don't worry if your heels don't touch. They often won't, especially if you're, doing a short yoga practice and you might not open the legs, but do invite your heels to surrender to gravity. And imagine that your calves, which on many of us are very tight, imagine that your calves are like pats of butter melting in a pan, surrendering their butteriness down to the yoga mat. Take one more breath here if it feels appropriate for you. And then when you're ready, gently land your knees back and come back to sitting. So I want to do just a few movements to help open the upper back. Again, add a prop underneath you if you like, cross-legged, or you could also, if you're comfortable sitting on your lower legs like this. I don't usually recommend this for a long time, but sitting this way, and actually I find if you do sit this way, it helps to have a blanket or a towel underneath you. This is actually a good thing to do for digestion also, because it's kind of weird. I read this once in Yoga Journal, I believe, that when we sit like this and we compress the legs, it reduces the circulation temporarily, which brings more circulation to the digestive system. Not being a scientist, I won't swear to that, but this is just another way to sit. But find a comfortable seat for you, and then pick up your right arm, and without taking it on the body, just reach the right arm over to the left without pulling or yanking it. Then take your left hand and cup the elbow of your right arm with your left hand, and gently use your left hand to drag that arm a little bit over a little bit more. You might feel a stretch in the upper arm or your upper back. Make sure you're not turning or twisting or torturing the 3 T's yourself to create this little stretch. And then release that. And if you're sitting like I am, just know, sitting on the legs, you can change the seat and come out of it at any time. Reach your left arm over toward the right. You could keep the arm a little active. So you could, rather than having it just kind of hang and be flimsy, my arm is kind of arrow straight here. And then you can cup the elbow with your opposite hand and pull that arm over even more, if that feels okay. Take a breath here. Maybe you feel a nice stretch in the upper back. We'll do another variation of this a little bit later, unless I forget, which sometimes does happen, and then release that. Now, just another way to open your upper back: crisscross your arms lightly in front of your chest. As you inhale, open your arms like cactus. And as you exhale, crisscross your arms in front of you. Inhale and open, and exhale and crisscross. Inhale, open, pause, turn the palms to face your ears. Inhale your arms straight up to the sky. Turn your palms forward, exhale back to cactus. Turn the palms to face your ears. Inhale, lengthen your arms up, turn the palms forward, exhale back to cactus. Inhale here, and as you exhale, crisscross your arms and drop your chin toward your chest, but lift your chest up to your chin. So we're not sagging or collapsing in our seat. We're sitting nice and tall, spine is long. Close your eyes. Again, bring your awareness to your upper back. You might feel that your shoulder blades are really flaring here, which is what we like. Take a breath here and let that go. Release your arms and come to table. Now, if you were sitting on your legs, even if we weren't doing table balances, which is what we're going to do, you definitely want to stretch your legs after that. So take padding back under your knees. Take your hands shoulder distance apart, your knees inner hip distance apart. Tuck the toes of just the right foot under. Slide that right leg back. And if you were sitting in on your legs, sometimes that's called diamond pose, you will feel very, very relieved to have the leg stretching here. Stretch out the back of your leg. Place that knee down and do the second leg. Stretch your left leg out. Now, stretch your right arm forward, back of the neck long, and place it down. And stretch the left arm forward. Notice if the body is shifting a lot. I notice one of my arms, the body really shifts just from sticking that arm out. We're going to do some balance challenges, and to build strength and stability, it helps to remember that idea of the body on the exhale, front going to back going to the front, right to left, left to right. Like there's this cellophane wrapping of the inner tissues. So take the right leg out with the toes tucked. Pause here. If it feels okay, add the left arm. Pause here. If you wish to add more challenge, press the top of your left foot down and lift your right leg up a few inches. And then take a few breaths here. And if you bring the leg up and you get tired, bring it down. Inhale, breathe long. Exhale, wrap that cellophane around you. Give your body like a corset-like hug. Inhale and exhale. Find your corset and maybe one more breath. Inhale and exhale. Whew. Left hand down, right knee down. Before we do the second side, roll your wrists around. You can sit on your shins again if you were doing that, or maybe you want to stand on your knees like I'm doing. Second side, take the left leg out, tuck the toes under. Take the right arm out. Pause here. Now, even though we are reaching the limbs away from each other, we're reaching them away. Think about that you're reaching the limbs away, but at the same time, hugging the limbs in a little bit. That could also help keep you a little more steady on the balance. If you like, raise the left leg up, no higher than your hip. Inhale, expand your body with the breath. And as you exhale, imagine hugging your limbs back into your body as you condense your core right to right, left to left, top up, bottom down. And another breath here. Shaking is okay. And one more breath. Whew. And then bring that down. We're going to make our way to standing just for a few moments, just so we get off the floor. You can just come to standing by coming to a lunge, or you can come to down dog one more time. Enjoy down dog if that is a pleasant pose for you to be in. And then walk your feet forward, soften your knees when you need to. Bring your hands back. Keep the spine long if you need to. If it's not a concern, you could just let your spine kind of flop over and be very ragdoll-ish. And then when you're ready, walk your hands up your legs, lengthen your spine, and come to standing. Just so we get off the mat a little bit. And then find Tadasana. Set your feet parallel. Relax your arms by your side and take a few breaths here. Close your eyes if you like. Notice how you feel. Good. Make sure you're on the mat for this. I'm going to just come to warrior two for a nice a very brief standing practice before we return to the mat. Turn the right leg out and the left leg comfortably in. Present your heart forward, hands to your heart center. Inhale, slide your arms up. As you exhale, bend the knee, take the arms wide, and turn to look toward your bent knee side. So that would be to your right. Turn the palms forward, bend the elbows. Stretch the arms straight, palms are looking forward. Turn the palms down. Spiral the arms so the thumbs are down and the pinkies are up. Bend the elbows. Straighten the arms. Turn the palms up. And as you inhale, press into that right foot, straighten the leg, join the hands together above you, slide the hands to the heart center. Parallel your feet and pause. The second side of Virabhadrasana 2, spin your left leg out and your right toes in. And remember, you can do anything you like with your arms. You could keep your hands on the hips the whole time. You could keep them at the heart the whole time. Inhale, arms up. I'm just giving you suggestions. You could choose what you like. Exhale into warrior two, second side. You may need to adjust. Maybe you want to go a little longer. Maybe you feel like you're not in control of the pose and your legs feel very non-integrated with each other. Even though they're far away, we still want to imagine we're hugging those legs in a little bit. So in that case, you might want to go narrower. Spread your fingers wide. Take your fingers away from each other. Gently snuggle your fingers toward each other. Flex your wrist, point your fingers up. Make little stop signs with your hand. Get a nice little stretch in your forearms. Palms face the floor and then point your fingers down. You might get a different stretch in your forearms here. Straighten the wrists, turn the palms up. And as you inhale, push into your left foot, slowly straighten that leg. Let the hands find each other. Drag your hands to your heart center, parallel your feet, and strut, saunter, canter. And I think that's what a horse does. Bring your legs back to center. So we're going to do one more arm movement, and we're going to combine it with the next and last standing pose. So remember, we reached our arms to the side in the beginning of the practice. You can always do that again. Otherwise, we're going to do one half of eagle pose. We're going to do eagle arms. So it's kind of birdie. We just had Thanksgiving. And this is a great back opener. So again, one of the things we're doing tonight, in addition to the squeezing and soaking, we're inviting nice spaciousness for the back. So take your arms at right angles, looking at each other. Okay. So now take your right arm and bring it underneath your left. Your right arm underneath your left. I'm going to just come down to make sure you can see this if you need to. You could do one of two things. Stay standing. You could just press the backs of the hands toward each other. Or if it feels okay, you're going to take that top arm, which I believe is your left arm, and you're going to spiral it around completely and join the palms together. So hopefully you can get that idea. Now, if that doesn't work for you, and this is a bind of the arms, it's great for opening the upper back, but maybe you just want to do what we did before. Open the arms into right angles and exhale, crisscross them. You can always do that. So wherever you are, you're opening your back in one way or another. Shoulder blades are flaring away from each other. Make sure it doesn't hurt you. If you feel the arms are compressing the chest, lift the arms up a little bit. Take a breath here. And one more breath. And when you're ready, slowly release the arms and fly them out. And second side, bring your arms to the right angles again. Palms are looking at each other. And now you're going to switch and take the other arm on top. So I think you had your right arm on top before. Sorry, I forgot already because I'm mirroring you. But you're going to take one elbow on top of the other, and then you can bring the backs of the hands together like so, or you can spiral them around so the palms face each other. I believe you have your right arm on top now, I think. So hopefully you remember what side you did. You did the second side. I'm very embarrassed because I got so excited about doing this that I forgot what side you're doing, but I'm pretty sure your right is on top. And I'm just distracting you to stay in the pose a little bit longer. If it feels okay, opening up your back. And then slowly unwind those arms, fly them out to the side. And hopefully that is a nice stretch for your upper back. And let's just take one more movement before we come down to the mat. Our mat is waiting for us. Shavasana is not too far away. So come back to warrior two leg. So spin your right leg out and turn your left leg in. So now you can keep your hands on the hips the whole time, but if you like what we did so much, you can wrap your arms again. So let's say since the right leg is turned out, have the right arm on the bottom. So you can take your eagle arms if you like, or hands on your hips. Inhale a breath here, exhale into warrior two, and then we're going to turn this into side angle pose. Shift your hips away from your bent leg and lengthen your shoulders to your bent leg. Imagine that you're drawing your feet energetically toward each other. If you have the eagle arms and you want to bring your hands a little bit away from your body, you could do that. Just make sure you're not compressing in the chest area. That's not an area that's fun to compress at all. And then from here, if you lowered your clasped arms, bring them a little closer to you, come back to warrior two, and then press into your right foot, straighten that leg, unwrap your arms, parallel your feet. Actually, we got to do the other side. I was going to say take your feet in. So take your left leg out and your right leg in. So if you did the crisscross arms, and if you want to do it again, now your left arm is going to be on the bottom, I believe. I think that's right. So do the second side of your arms and either crisscross your arms completely, or you could just bring the backs of the hands toward each other, or you could forget about that whole crazy thing and just keep your hands on your hips. Good. Inhale a breath here. Exhale, bend your knee into warrior two legs. Inhale, and as you exhale, shift your hips to your straight leg, to your right, and take a small side bend, long sides. Notice I'm not curling my spine either way, nice and long. And if your arms are getting tired in the bind, you can unbind them, or you can take your hands a little bit away from the chest. See how that feels. Imagine that even though your legs are wide apart, energetically, you're trying to pull your feet together. And then from here, bring your hands back in if you took them away. Come back to warrior two. So you're coming out of the side bend. Inhale a breath here. And as you exhale, push into your bent leg foot, straighten the leg, parallel the feet, unwind your arms. Oh, that feels good. It feels good to come out. And that is also, by the way, we're opening the back, but in the chest, we're doing a little squeeze and soak. Let's make our way back down to the mat. If you want to come down through downward dog, feel free to do so. Feel free to skip it and just come down to the mat. Inhale a breath standing, exhale, forward fold, and then slide your hands, down your legs. If you're going to do down dog, you're going to drop your hands down, walk your feet back, or if you're skipping down dog, you can come to child's pose for a few breaths or just come to sitting, whatever feels right for you. And then when you're ready, do come to sitting and just gather everything you'd like to have around you for Savasana. We're going to do one twist before we get there, but we're going to do the twist on the back. So if you want padding under your head, get the padding ready. If you know you want a blanket on top, get that. If you like little arm rests or hand rests, if you have books or small blankets, you could take one on either side and you can use them as hand rests when you're in deep relaxation. Get whatever you need and then come to lying down with your knees bent. And just take a moment to notice how you feel. If, by the way, you want to stretch your legs out straight and use that position to kind of compare a little bit how you felt at the beginning of the class and how you feel now, feel free to do that. And then if the legs are straight, do bend them. Walk your feet out wide. Take your arms comfortably out to the sides, no higher than your shoulders. And start windshield wipering your legs. In the beginning of class, we did the side opener where we tip one knee. So now we're tipping both knees in the same direction to prepare for a twist. Back and forth you go, maybe kind of teasing the legs a little bit further each time, making sure you're not forcing the legs down in any way. The next time your knees come over to the right, let them completely surrender to gravity. You might feel, if you feel you want a little support, you could take a block or a blanket underneath your outer right leg or underneath your inner left thigh. With your knees to the right, turn your head to the left. Let your legs surrender to gravity. If it feels appropriate for you, we could add a bind here by picking up the right foot and very gently placing the right foot on the left leg, not on the knee, just right above the knee on the low outer thigh. Just know that sometimes I find that this can arch the low back a little more than some of us like. So only add this bind if it suits you. Take a few breaths here. Noticing the opening in the chest, the ribs expanding out to the side, right to right, left to left with your inhale. And you might even feel the back expanding a little bit, even though you are lying on it. If you took the bind, release that foot down, bring your head back to center, bring your knees back up, pause to a second side. Drop your knees over toward the left side, turn your head to the right, add propping underneath the thighs so they can rest on something if they feel tense. That can be really nice. If you like, add the bind, picking up your left foot and just kind of weighing down the right leg a little bit more. It can feel really nice. It can feel very relaxing. It can open up the top hip. And I find that for me, sometimes the bind feels good on one side and not on the other. So only do it if it serves you. Head turned away from your bent knees. Take a few breaths here. Easy inhale, smooth exhale. One more generous breath here. And if you took the bind, release your left foot back to the mat. Breathe your knees back to center, your nose back to center. Your hips may have shifted during the twist, so bring them back to center. And then prepare for Savasana. Make sure you have padding under your head if you need it. You could take a blanket over you. You could have your legs out straight and your arms out straight in the traditional, so to speak, Shavasana pose. Or you may want to have your knees bent, feet on the floor. If you have a handy bolster or couch cushion, you may want to loop your legs over that. Just make sure that you are comfortable. Close your eyes like soft curtains. Surrender the weight of your skull to the earth. Invite your head and all its contents to be pleasingly heavy. Soften your jaw. Invite your forehead to be satin smooth. Surrender your hardworking shoulders. Right shoulder away from the right ear. Left shoulder away from the left ear. And both shoulders dropping away from the center of your chest, relaxing down toward the earth. Invite your hands to be soft, nothing to hold, no work to do, nothing to lift. Arms, upper, lower, and hands. Deeply relaxed. Soften your belly. Definitely don't want a corset or a idea of a cellophane wrapping here. Just let yourself go. Be a big blob of butter melting in a pan. Take up space. Invite your thighs to very loosely hold the bones. Surrender the weight and the strong, mighty energy of the legs, which take you so many places. Give yourself a few minutes of deep relaxation. Body soft, eyes closed, gaze within. In a seasons of celebration and gift giving, one of the greatest gifts we can give is the gift of stillness to ourselves. Give yourself this gift now. Body relaxed, breath easeful. Stillness, acceptance, and peace. Invite your awareness back to your breath and just follow the rhythm of your breath as it moves in and out. And if you like, come back to that leaf that maybe you looked at in the beginning of the practice and let that breathe just dance slowly on the rhythm of your breath. Keep the breath smooth and easeful so the leaf doesn't move too far away. And then to prepare to shift from your lovely stillness to the evening that still lies ahead of you, make small movements, maybe turning your head a fraction toward one side and then the other, yawning, sighing, stretching your arms, wiggling your toes, whatever feels right. And then, when you're ready, bend your knees, landing one foot at a time on your mat, pause, and then ease over to your side. Pause there. Take at least one breath there. 2 is even better. Before you lift yourself up to a seated position. And if you decide you'd rather not sit up, you're so comfy, you want to stay where you are for the last couple of minutes of class, feel free to do that. If you like, join your hands literally or just in your mind, connecting the hands together, feel their warmth. Let the outer edge of your thumbs touch the chest, connecting your hands to your heart. And if you like, softly bow your head, bringing your head into the mix. The head, the hands, and the heart are powerful 3 H's. Offer this moment to gratitude, thanking your body for all it offers you, thanking your heart for its goodness, and thanking your spirit for just being there. Cherish your spirit today and every day. Namaste.